all for coming. I'd really like to also thank our taxpayers who showed up tonight. So thank you very much for coming. In the interest of us actually having people here, which is so exciting for our meetings because no one ever comes to our meetings. Let's just go around quickly and introduce your name and then which board you're a piece of, if you could please. So I'm Mary Farrell. I'm the chair of the Local Development Corporation. Bill?
I'm Bill McDonough. I'm also on the Local Development Corporation.
Andy Mason, LDC as well.
Dave Snow, also LDC. Paul Albertine, town supervisor.
Alan Wood, town board member.
Jerry Goldman there for the village.
Mary Rupp, treasurer. Christine Stark, village trustee. Michelle Bouchard, town clerk for the town.
Ron Jacobs, town board.
Stacy Rogers, I contracted with the LDC for marketing. Kathy Corrento, LDC.
Dan Wiley, town council liaison for the LDC for the town.
Pam Young's village board liaison for the village board to the LDC. Carol Thomas, LDC.
And this is Casey. She's admin for the LDC and we couldn't do it without her. All right. And and online we have Jay Brasso and Nicola. They are part of our grant writing contract. So thank you two for joining. All right, and with that, I'd like to call the meeting to order at 6:02. And I'm going to turn it over to Dave Snow. Dave and Carol will be our presenters tonight. So give her a minute to share the slide. Oh, we should do the pledge, sorry. Second meeting, we already did it for ours. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Slides.
Yep, I'm gonna share my screen.
I know the type will be a little small on here. It's a small screen, so I won't read them, but I'm definitely going to go over the concept of each one. We want to take the opportunity to look back at 2025 and then look forward to what we're projecting out into 2026 tonight. Right in the middle, we will talk about the budget. So next slide. There's a, yeah, that's our agenda. And then next slide, please. So having fully established our administrative operations within the LDC last year, this is our first full year to press into 2025. Although not all of the initiatives that we went through this year yielded immediate results, they have all positioned us better for moving into 26. For example, next slide. So the Ag and Market Grant, we applied for that this year in recognition that fresh food access for the Cape is a priority. We found a donor who was willing to provide the grant match within the village to support that type of grant moving forward. Though we didn't receive the grant from the state, we did establish the process for allowing private donors to come in, accept those funds, and how we work with the individual grant recipients. That was a good win for us this year. And the lessons and the feedback we got from the state on that grant process position us better for next year. So hopefully we can secure the grant next year. Next slide. So the next one, next initiative was the infrastructure for putting in electric vehicle chargers downtown. Mary's hard work culminated in the award of the the grant from National Grid to provide 90% of the infrastructure for electric vehicle chargers downtown. And so that is the underground part that comes from the power lines and basically makes them ready to receive the superchargers that plug into the cars. Next slide. Second part of it, that same thing was the electric vehicle chargers themselves. So those chargers, the second part, and we're currently in the process of working toward the grant for covering the cost of that. The results of that decision will drive us one of two ways, either to pursue different funding for the chargers themselves, or possibly waiting for the future based on the results of the grant. Next slide. So while Aubrey's closed for the winter, we were, or Mary really led it, but the LDC worked with the Painter Center over in Clayton to provide transportation over from the village here for residents who signed up so that they could access fresh fruit. That stayed up until next slide, please. So this year we worked on the small project fund. So that was a grant awarded to the village. There were 6 awards from this year. One went to Aubrey's to work on some of their issues. Fire station did some improvements with it. Maddie Mays building, the Cup of Joy, Twisted Cape, Moon Landing were all given funds to improve their facilities and beautify / continue to push forward within the village. Next slide. Okay, so Danny and Scott led the first and second submissions for this. So this grant was for closing the ice rink here at the rec park. Although we didn't receive an award in this year, we do have the lessons that they got out of that grant process. They'll be incorporated in the next year's submission that G&G will be pushing forward. Next slide. So the town of Cape Vincent Smart Growth Grant. So this was another non-select. And again, just because you don't get selected for grants in the state, every time you put in, you do get feedback as to why the grant wasn't either competitive or why it didn't get selected. And that helps improve the submissions for next time. The more you apply, the better your chances are to get them. So these will continue to pursue opportunities to improve the facilities within the Cape. Next slide. Last thing is we pivoted in mid-year at the request of the boards to address a pressing need, and that was the development or the contracting for a tourism promotion position here. Stacy has now been on board for 12 weeks, is making a big impact to our ability to get the word out about Cape Vincent. She's going to take over when I finish this review and talk a little about where she is in her process. Next slide. Okay, so that was 2025. What we're looking at for 2026. Now, this is kind of an overview of the budget that we see. At the top, we're anticipating a return to the $100,000 funding level from 2 years ago, based on the additional costs of the tourism position. Last year, our budget was $50,000. The additional costs bring us up. We're $100,000. Will keep us continuing to move forward. We can address that afterwards. So the budget itself is on the bottom. I know it's too tiny up there. There are overhead and fixed costs that we're stuck with. We have accounting requirements, clerical, association dues, the grant consultants, legal fees, insurance, and the tourism promoter position, which runs $74,600 per year. That remaining $63,000 in this year's budget is to go to 6 primary areas. One is the $10,000 cost share for one of the grants that we're going to put in for this year. Second one is a micro grant fund, and I'll talk about that in a minute, to improve and to incentivize small business and development within the village and town. 20,000 of that is towards an operational budget for Stacy so that she can get the word out and hopefully bring in more tourists here. And then another 3,000, the remaining 3,000 will be for supplies and training. So our discretionary budget is looking at the 63,000 of that. We would be pulling approximately $35,000 out of the reserves that we built up to make that budget work. Next slide. So as we look into 2026, this is the initiatives that we have out there. The first one is the tourism promotion position. Obviously, Stacy's on board for this year, and we want to make sure that she has the operational funds she needs to get out and to promote the village and town as best she can. Next slide. So the next part of it is going live with our umbrella website. So this website itself is designed to to give a voice to everybody, above and beyond what the Chamber of Commerce does, so that we look at both the members and the non-members. And then to expand it a little bit further from there. So we're talking about events, we're talking about activities, resources, and then continuing to build on that, to put in jobs available here in the village, to advertise grant opportunities for small businesses and organizations, and to get the word out there. That's in the RFP has already been released for that, and we're going to have that. I'm not sure exactly when that'll be up and operational, but that will be in 26. Next slide. So the next one is the Smart Growth Comprehensive Plan. So this is to update the Cape Vincent Comprehensive Plan. It hasn't been updated in many years. We plan on paying for that as we go this year. It's $100,000 anticipated, with us maintaining at least $10,000 available to meet the expenses. So you pay for things and you get reimbursed through this grant as it goes throughout the year. Next slide. So the next one is a new initiative. This is using a micro grant fund, and we can provide more information on this, but really what we want to do is provide matching funds to organizations that want to do things here in Cape Vincent. And it could be anything that is used to improve services or opportunities for the community. Some of the things that were brought up is a rental system where you can rent kayaks downtown. Those cost about $8,000. So we would be looking at matching somebody's contribution at 50%. So we provide half of it. They provide the other half with a business plan to make those available for people as they come into the village. Rental bikes down at East End Park. So they come off their boats and they have a way to move around the village. Somebody brought up the idea of a vending kiosk, like a trailer where they could show up down East End Park in the morning and sell bait and snacks and things like that to people as they come in. So those are the type of things that we're talking about. Not just things, but also events and opportunities for organizations. So if we have an organization here in the town that wants to do a big event, like an Oktoberfest, I know we already do that, but something like that that's going to bring people in, we can provide some matching funds for that to incentivize them to go out there and take that leap. Additionally, any marketing or sponsoring systems. So if we want to put up a sign out by the town line that shows events that are coming up, but they can also advertise in there. So you can see the businesses here in the town. None of those are part of this yet, but that's what we want to be able to solicit from the community, be able to provide those seed funds for them to make the investment in the town. Next slide. So G&G, that's Jay and Nicola, their continued presence here. Their RFP runs into their request, so their contract runs through June of 2026. We're using them to submit the Smart Growth grant that we already have, as well as a bunch of other pieces and parts. And we will continue to utilize them throughout the year. Any opportunities or any new grants that come up, they're ready to pivot to those. They will be looking out and identifying additional opportunities for the town and the village as they come up throughout the year. Next slide. So another initiative as we move forward is an economic, we're calling it a strategy development housing site here. Really, it is G&G is going to collect and synthesize data for Cape Vincent that is going to provide the information for the comprehensive plan. It's going to look at future grant proposals and other things within the community. Right now, we have a lot of data for Jefferson County. What we need is a little bit more stuff that's specific to Cape. They're going to use their current hours, their current contract with us. So this is something additional, but it will keep them engaged in providing value added throughout the year. Right, next slide, please. So that's a very brief overview. We can talk about, any of the initiatives or take additional ideas. But what we want to make sure is that we continue to keep Cape Vincent, while creating new opportunities for the people that are here. We are looking to engage a little deeper with the community, try to figure out how we, can provide as much value added as possible. At this point, I'll pass it over to Stacy to talk about the tourism promotion where we are.
So a lot of what I've been working on so far is starting somewhat locally with informing people that are already coming to Cape Vincent about our keeping the signs on the outside of the village, updated with information, as well as submitting like monthly calendars to local news and newspapers. So a lot of localized informing. But I've been doing a lot of research on residential growth, essentially, because I think that's something that's very necessary in Cape Vincent, especially to support the local businesses through the winter time, which is, if you're a year-round resident, you know how much slower the season is in that time of year, and residential growth is really what Cape Vincent needs in order for the local businesses to continue to stay open and thrive. So that's one of my key points. And another part of that, as far as tourism goes, is establishing a connection with the Thousand Islands Tourism Council, kind of bringing Cape Vincent into that Thousand Islands scene, kind of all the way out here on the point. So, making us part of Clayton, part of the entire Thousand Islands scene. So that's a huge goal of mine is to get connected with them, which there's an expense there, but I think it is worth it for our businesses, especially with the very slow tourist season that they've had this year, to be able to give them that leg up next year in attracting people. And it's a really great advertising package that the Tourism Council offers. A lot of what I've done this year so far is doing like press releases and things like that, helping local organizations, including the chamber, just get the word out about events, utilizing as much free advertising as I can to keep those costs minimum for organizers. That's about it. A lot of it's everything that we can do next year, which is a lot of to continue to expand our audience, further and further outside of the Thousand Islands. Going as far as Rochester, that's such a huge market of people that are very often coming to visit very frequently. When I ask somebody where they're from Rochester. So just things like that, targeting the areas that we know where people are coming from.
Thank you, Stacy. So that concludes the formal part of the presentation. So I'd first like to open it up to the village and town board for questions, comments.
I don't mind, I just threw something out there, for everybody that wants to know, the village, officially closed on the ferry landing on our side. That doesn't come on the forefront, like with the tourism, and we talk about trying to bring people to Cape Vincent. That's a conduit. I mean, Kingston, look at the size of it. I have worked hard as others with the village board trying to make this happen. I just tell you, there's an awful lot of pressure to get this done, get the ferry from the public standpoint. So I guess I would welcome any help that we can do to help get the Canadian side. They're even asking like, hey, will your donors and people like pass the hat help us pay for their side? And I said, are you kidding me? I mean, we have a village of 600 people and we're making it happen. And you have all of this and you're struggling, but just seems like that might be a good goal to be looking at, you know. And I mentioned last night, we had a little, a chamber event, and I was talking to some of the people. And I had mentioned Rochester, you know, how there's such an influence. And somebody brought it to my attention, which I really didn't think about. He goes, that's great, they're already here, they're coming here. Why aren't we looking at Syracuse, places that don't come to Cape Vincent, and try to show them what we have and try to get some of those folks. So I just said, you know, it's a good point. I said, in the meeting tonight, and I'll share that. So,
Syracuse is on my list, is larger city areas.
I think Kodak has always had a strong influence in Cape. I remember from years and years ago, and a lot of those families still come back here because that's what they were brought up with. I mean, I applaud anything we can do to get more people coming to the area. I thank you.
Other questions, other comments?
I just had, I didn't hear the actual figures on the budget. How much do you have in the kitty right now? I think it was like 160,
As of the end of August, 191,
191. And what are your expenses gonna be for this year? Do you figure?
137.7.
137.7. And is that gonna be a normal amount every year, about 130? What'd you say
Yeah. Dave, could you go back to fixed cost versus variable?
Yeah. What was the
So our
74,000?
74,000 covers our accounting, clerical dues, the grant consultant, legal, insurance, and the tourism promotion.
That's the
That is
basic
the fixed-
75,000.
That is the fixed amount. Yeah.
Yeah, and you're figuring on spending about 60,000 on grants.
63 on our operational stuff. And being able to, you know, put more value added back into the community.
And if I heard correctly, 4 to 5 grants this year, other than the smart growth grant, and you've got 2 out of the 4?
We got the infrastructure grant for 190, I think it's 190. And then what's the other one? I'm on cold meds, which is why I'm not talking. The Chargers, yeah. Well, that was the infrastructure, yeah,
That's the infrastructure.
right. That's the infrastructure, what's the second?
And the smart growth, yeah.
Smart growth, right, we've applied for smart growth, we won't know on that till December. What the board has been discussing is, you know, obviously, we're only showing 10,000 in the budget, but the proposed grant was 110.
Mhm.
So that 191,000, 100 of that is sitting there waiting to be able
To
to
fund
use
that.
for the comprehensive.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, good, thanks for
Good
the
question.
clarifying question. Other questions from the boards?
I'll just add that kind of piggyback where Jerry is with the ferry with our process on Club Street. We're about 90% final design on the LWRP portion of the project. Moving along very well. We should be finished up, I don't know, a couple weeks, I would think. Hoping to get out to bid on the seawall in one of the docks. Hoping to get the seawall underway December, January. We've got to be done by, what is it, March 15th because of the spawning, through July 15th. So that really puts a hurt on getting the dock in, but hopefully we're able to build that dock. New York Forward, we're under contract with them. We are actually out to bid currently for the engineering design of that. And 2 weeks ago, I think it was, we were awarded the big, so the border infrastructure grant. So they've fallen into line the way we had hoped. Things couldn't be going any better. We're in budget, within budget at this point. So with what Jerry's in the village has done, it's gonna be a huge asset to have that project progress as well. So, just an update on that.
Jerry, did you want to give any update on where the rest of the New York Forward? I mean, obviously, we talked about the small project because Pam and I've been working on that.
I'm kicking to Christine actually, because she's our,
Yep, so our New York Forward, we're kind of running neck and neck with the town. Our 2 contracts, one is for the Club Street, the road portion has been rolled into basically our streetscape. And both of those, the contract was awarded and the RFP is out for architectural design and engineering. It's a 30-day wait for bids on that, you know how that goes. And we're within our time limits. This period will go till September, till December on designing and engineering, and then we'll move forward and next spring probably start looking for contracts.
Good, thank you.
The people too, just, I mean, 'cause I'm seeing it now too, and I gotta ask a couple of questions myself, but you'll see the state is in working on our crosswalks. I'm a little bit confused on some of the ones they're doing downtown, because that was supposed to.
Well, it is the state, Jerry.
Yeah, I thought we had that, you know, but anyways, they are in doing that, so that's separate from New York Forward money. They just finished up in Shimo's, everybody's driving through, they made some huge improvements on safety, just cleaning up the crosswalks, did finish Clayton earlier this year. We were the next in the queue, but they're supposed to leave downtown, is my understanding, to the New York Forward part of things. I'm just not really sure. I gotta find out. I just saw the Cohen's and some of the
Yeah.
excavating.
So we had a meeting with the Department of Transportation, and it's the state, that's all I really need to say, is that they refuse to back off. We convinced them not to do 2 of the intersections because they were major, they're gonna be under major development, James Street and Market Street. And the rest of them, they refused to back off. The contract had already been set out 2 years ago, and we were too late, so some of that work will be just, yeah.
Are they gonna do curbing and everything?
On those intersections, yes. We did try to add, I thought we would have had a shot. We were trying to add another crosswalk across the state highway down by East End Park to help offset the on street to use the parking. They would have done that one, but they would then made us get rid of the one farther down by Mr. Bradley's property. And we just said, that's kind of key. Our sidewalks are there, the curbing, we have to tear all that out. And came back with the whole idea of the boat parking and the people, safety. When we go back, we'll talk to the engineers. And that was basically a hard no. So I just don't understand, but I guess at some point, maybe we'll try to fudge a crosswalk of sorts, but you know, we deal with the state, we're very limited what we can do, but they don't want the liability, and we're trying to encourage people to use that for more parking for boat trailers and stuff. It just made a lot of sense to have one there, but anyways.
Anything else from either the village or town?
I'd just like to bring up a thought. You know, we put this LDC together from both the town and the village to kind of take things off the town and village plate. I mean, we obviously, with our budgets and our project, we got enough going on. And one of the concerns with our LDC board is cash flow. You know, if something comes up where, because we're in a position where we can buy property, we can lease property, we can do all kinds of things. So I would like to see the LDC board go to a financial institution and apply for some type of line of credit, which probably would need to be blessed from the town and the village. But I think that gives us a little breathing room to say, okay, this comes up, we need 40,000. I know in our town budget, we're just not gonna reach in and grab 20,000 in mid-year, and the village isn't either. Taxpayers' money. But in that situation, if we have access to those types of funds at budget time, we can reimburse those types of things. So I'm not looking for any nods or no's or whatever, but it's food for thought. I think it's a step in the right direction for our board to set up that type of a process.
I agree. I kind of always felt like the seed money that the town and the village were turning over to the LDC could almost be used to service the debt that the LDC would use to fund the operating costs of projects while they waited for grant reimbursement. So I think you're on the right track.
Any other comments?
I have a question, with regard to the micro grant fund. I think that's a pretty creative way to get seed money out there to start small businesses like kayak example and rentals and stuff you gave. And I would understand if you don't have an answer to this question. I'm just curious if it's something you considered. How do you intend to vet applicants for a grant like that?
So we haven't fully staffed that out yet. What we talked about in one of our last meetings was the concept of it, similar to what happened with New Forward. The same process. We don't have the rules in place. There's been a lot of discussion about it, whether how much money we need limited to. And everything else. But I think we were forward gave us call it
Framework,
an example. Yeah, a framework. Thank you for doing that. Just following that same thing with different rules. Yeah. We don't want to, this is to incentivize, not to pay for necessarily. Whatever we do is going to have to be maintained.
When we have an RFP now, we have a committee get together to look at those, whoever submits it, and kind of bring their suggestion back to the board, and then the board votes on it. I would assume that when we have grants, we want to, apply for a grant and have the same process. We have a committee kind of look at it and then bring their suggestions back.
Yeah, no, like I said, I think it's.
We definitely got some
Great
work to
idea.
do on rounding out.
Yeah.
how we would- how we
Yeah, I
would do
didn't
this, for sure.
expect
Yeah, it's not,
an
re- it's
answer.
not ready to roll out.
SOP laid out, I just, food for thought, I guess, to make sure it was something that was being considered, and I'm sure it is.
Yeah, Al?
Paul, this is from my personal experience. Got money from Clayton Foundation or whatever it was, and theirs was, when they gave you the money, you had to not sell your property or home for 10 years, and if you sold it before that, you had to pay that money back. Which I think is a great thing. You give all this money to business, and then a year later, they're selling it and making all that money off it. So our deal was, we had to keep our home for 10 years. Which is good.
Yeah, and there would be those, absolutely that sort of thing. It wouldn't be, you have to be operational for whatever we decide, but yes, those are exactly the kind of things that.
Even the small project fund that Pam and I are managing, it's a 5-year, they have a 5-year agreement on that.
What we really want to do is make it cost viable for people to provide services to their tourists who come in. We don't know that those things aren't here right now. The fishermen, there's no place to buy bait really. There's no real provider right there. So that's really the thought process behind it.
Thank you. So we do have our grant writers online and they wanted to
Can I
say
just ask
hello.
one
Oh,
question
yeah,
before
one
we-
more question, Jay, and then we're over to you guys.
I feel a little flat-footed, it would be helpful, maybe administratively, in the future, if we could get some of the information that'll be discussed ahead of time.
Sure.
The budget numbers, and like Dave's slides. I'm probably the only one that can't just digest it all on the
No,
spot.
that's a perfectly good request.
That would be real helpful. I think.
And we'll make sure they get sent out to Mary and Michelle and then they'll distribute to the boards.
Okay, thanks.
Jay, over to you and Nicola.
Thank you so much. I greatly appreciate it. I will keep it short. I didn't even know if I was going to be able to make this meeting. I'm out of state, but it was important to me, to be on this. Many of you I know, some of you, from the DRI New York Forward process of a couple of years ago, got to know a lot of you, love the community. And I just wanted to say, thank you, overall, for having faith in us and bringing us aboard. And to let you know that, Nicola is a fantastic hire and has a lot of experience. And I wanted to touch on the micro grants briefly. One of the reasons that Nicola was hired by G&G is her experience in micro grants. So I know tonight is probably not the night for that. But if we want to have a discussion further on that, we'd be more than happy to set that up. And like I said, Nicola's got a ton of experience with that. and we'd like to, you know, assist in that conversation. We're on your dime. You know, let us help you with that. Our goal is to, you know, look at the current grants that you have and assist with those and look forward to the grants, you know, that maybe we didn't get. Nicola has, we completed the planning grant application, you know, prior to deadline, so we're good there. But there's going to be some other things coming up. We did not get the Parks grant you applied for in the last round, the NPR. We'll be reapplying for that. And we'll continue to look for things moving forward. And I'm going to leave shortly and then turn it over to Nicole if there's other questions. And she can stay on for whatever you need her to do for the meeting. But please reach out. And Mary knows we're responsive. You know, if you need a meeting, we'll give you a meeting. If you need to talk to us, give us a call. Many of you have my cell phone, but you know, feel free to call me, feel free to email. We did get an email on the day I had surgery, and I apologize for not responding to that, but anesthesia and I do not mix well. And I was sadly I missed the email, so that's on me. I will, you know, the buck does stop here, but don't hesitate. If you see a grant that a neighboring community has got, if you see a grant that you're at a meeting and you know somebody tells you about, or you hear so it comes across your desk, please, you know, reach out to us and then let us see if that's something that's going to fit. We're here for you, you know, and our goal is to, you know, a lot of grants come across our desk. And, you know, adding Nicola on brings on a whole new set of things as far as planning and economic development. And, you know, and I have background in the economic development side. And Nicola is a planner by trade. So that's why she was brought aboard. So feel free to reach out to us. And unfortunately, I'm gonna leave. I was supposed to be at something, but this is important. I didn't want to miss this. And then my goal is to be up at the next meeting. I like coming out in person, and it gives me a reason to be in the Cape, which is always a good thing. And you know, we have our satellite office in Oswego County, so it's workable. I'm going to leave. If there's any quick questions, I can answer it, or if not, I will turn it over to Nicole. If you have questions, she can answer them. I have full faith in her. And thank you.
Thanks, Jay.
Thanks.
Thank you. Right, if there aren't any more questions from any of the board, I'd like to see if anyone from our taxpayers who have joined us tonight, any questions from any of you?
Basically taking it in.
Well, good. Well, we love having you. We're every second Thursday of the month. Please come.
You're always what now?
I said the second Thursday of every month here at 5:30 is the LDC meeting. Tonight was 6. We had to do a 5:30 meeting to pay the bills and approve the minutes, you know, that little administrative thing in every month. So we did that at our normal 5:30 and then invited everyone to join us at 6. So, good, thank
I'll
you.
only add one area that Jerry was mentioning about possible additional advertising, the penetration into all these other areas. In my experience, there's a lot of voters that are available Eastern New York, particularly from Albany through the Schenectady. And the other significant area is Eastern Pennsylvania, particularly northeastern Pennsylvania, not in the middle of the Poconos, but the Scranton area down through eastern Pennsylvania, western New Jersey. A lot of this area's customers are from that area.
That's good insight.
Because they've given up on maybe the Jersey Shore and they gyrated toward the north. A lot more local.
Thank you.
So people that like boating, camping, and all that kind of stuff. A lot of people in those two areas. Rochester is still significant, particularly if you include the whole Buffalo area and everything. But you know, Kodak's today is not the Kodak it was in 1970 and 80. It's just altogether different. And, you know, Xerox. Syracuse, though, is a good potential for the future. And they're talking about 3,000 employees at the chip plant. And that's an hour away. A little over an hour away. That's all levels of management, factory workers. That's a future, not too far down the road.
Yeah, they're nice and close. That's a good point. Thank you. Anything else?
I was gonna agree with Ron, seeing a lot of licenses and license plates where I work. There's a huge amount of people from Pennsylvania that are in this area.
Mm.
How much real?
Yeah. That's the most, even more than Canadians this year.
Oh, yeah, no, Canadian, there's a lot of reasons for the decline.
But there's a lot from Pennsylvania. And it's not really that far drive, 3-4 hours.
Well, that's Watertown's direct flights are to Philadelphia.
Correct.
I actually looked into advertising options at the Philadelphia airport, but it's very expensive.
Well, if there isn't anything else, oh, yes.
I really like the idea of having bikes to rent. And I think that people would enjoy, I don't know how you could do this, but have a grant, a mini grant for a bike path out to Tibbetts Point.
I love that.
That's the novel idea.
That it is a great idea, and we, about 4 years ago, I have scar tissue from that. Is it not? Yeah. So we ran that one. Wait a couple more years, we might be able to pack that one again, but yeah.
I just think that if you're running a bike, to have a safe path to go. out to
Yes,
Tibbetts Point.
yes, and that's such a beautiful ride. So many people ride out that way. Now, without the bike path, it's a very, very well traveled route. So. Well, we are, as an LDC, just let me say, we really do appreciate you guys coming tonight and sharing your ideas, right? I mean, there's 9 of us on this board, and we're always open to suggestions and ideas. If you travel places and you see things and you say, wow, I wonder why we don't do that in Cape Vincent, or that would be a nice thing, bring it to us, right? Because we all are looking for great ideas. We are having growth in the community. I mean, the daycare center is going up on Pleasant Valley Road. They've delivered wood today, so that was exciting to see that happen. And this board was doing research on that. When was that, Mandy? 2 years ago now? 2 years ago, that was instrumental so that person could get a grant to say, yeah, the data says we need a daycare center. So things are happening. It just takes a long time. So.
Mayor,
Well-
I think you're gonna do this anyways, but just in case I missed, can you, just the budget at least, can that get emailed over to like?
Yeah, we're gonna send that, we're gonna send the whole
I don't
slide
see
deck.
it as well, so like try to
Yeah,
see those numbers.
Yeah,
and like
yeah,
the
we'll
budget.
definitely, we'll send the whole deck to you, and we'll make sure Mary and Michelle have that tomorrow. to
Just so we have
distribute to the
something to
board.
talk about as we get towards budget time and stuff.
Yep.
we can say thank you.
Yep, absolutely. Nicola want anything else? Nicola, did you have anything you wanted to add, or are you good? All right,
You're muted.
you're muted, but I read your lips, so.
I'm sorry.
Thank you for attending. We really appreciate it. Well, with that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I motion to adjourn.
All right, I got a motion. I need a second.
I'll second.
And I got a second. Thank you all for coming. Have a great evening. Bye, Nicola. Thanks for calling. in.
Bye. You're welcome.